Peace and blessings minus the stressings. I pray you walk in the divine path for which you were destined. It's your brother in business, King Rob, back again with another video. All right, we are here. The beginning of another 4-year regime from 45/47 DT. The Donald, back again, either to your liking or to your chagrin. Yeah, let's talk about it. History is written by the victors, or so the saying goes. But what happens when we start questioning the narratives that we've been taught? Today we're diving into a heavy and controversial topic that combines history, politics, and modern cultural phenomena. By the end of this video, you might find yourself questioning not just history, but the very path our nation is on. So, let's talk about Adolf Hitler, Donald Trump, Kanye West, Elon Musk, and the potential rise of oligarchy in America. Before we delve into the controversy, let's examine the undeniable historical facts. When Adolf Hitler rose to power in the 1930s, Germany was a nation in economic ruin. The Treaty of Versailles had left the country crippled, its people humiliated. Under Hitler's regime, unemployment plummeted, infrastructure projects like the Autobahn transformed the landscape, and industries were revitalized. These changes brought stability to a nation on the brink of collapse. Let's take a quick look at the Treaty of Versailles that was in 1919. The Treaty of Versailles was a peace agreement that officially ended World War I between Germany and the Allied powers. Its terms imposed heavy reparations on Germany, limited its military capabilities, and resulted in territorial losses. The stringent conditions led to economic hardship and political instability in Germany, contributing to the rise of extremist movements, unsurprisingly. So when Hitler took over, but the positive quote-unquote changes came at unimaginable costs. Hitler's vision of national revival was deeply tied to a platform of hatred, oppression, and unspeakable atrocities. Can progress ever really be justified when built on the suffering of others? It seems that that's been the revolving concept historically. So we fast forward to modern America, and when Donald Trump entered the political arena, he promised a revival of American greatness. I believe we all know the term. Make America great again. A return to economic strength, infrastructure renewal, national pride. For many, these promises resonated, especially in communities feeling left behind by globalization and political elitism. But critics argue that Trump's rhetoric, like Hitler's, often capitalized on division, fear, and scapegoating. While the scale and context are vastly different, it's worth examining how leaders can use economic promises to overshadow deeper and more troubling agendas. So let's take a look at the treaties that Trump signed our withdrawal from. Excuse me. One would be the Paris Climate Agreement, which in 2015 we adopted, and it's a global accord aimed at combating climate change by limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It requires participating countries to set and meet voluntary greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets. President Trump's withdrawal reflects his administration's view that the agreement imposes economic burdens on the U.S. and does not align with national interests. Supposedly, the U.S. will save $1 trillion by withdrawing from that particular agreement. Another treaty is the World Health Organization, the WHO. The WHO is a specialized agency of the United Nations responsible for international public health. The U.S. has been a significant contributor to the organization. President Trump's decision to withdraw is based on criticisms of the WHO's handling of global health issues and desire to reallocate funds domestically. In comparison, while the Treaty of Versailles was a punitive peace treaty imposed on a defeated nation, leading to significant national consequences, the Paris Climate Agreement and WHO membership were international collaborations entered voluntarily to address global challenges. So, domestic versus global. President Trump's withdrawal signifies a shift towards unilateralism and prioritizing national sovereignty over multilateral commitments. So, unlike the Treaty of Versailles, which was externally imposed, these recent actions are self-determined choices reflecting current U.S. policy positions. The withdrawal from these international agreements may lead to diplomatic repercussions affecting global efforts in climate change mitigation and public health, and alter the U.S. role on the world stage. But domestically, these actions could influence economic sectors tied to environmental regulations and healthcare. The long-term effects will depend on how these policy changes are implemented and on how other nations respond. So it's really yet to be seen, but it sparked a lot of rejoicing from some of the people that live here that consider these outward initiatives to be less important than our domestic issues that we face. And the World Health Organization did, respond on Twitter. And it's a pretty long tweet. I'm not gonna, read all of it, but the gist of it is that the United States was a founding member of the World Health Organization in 1948 and has participated in shaping and governing in WHO's work ever since, alongside 193 other member states, including through its active participation in the World Health Assembly and Education Board. For over 7 decades, the WHO and the United States have, quote-unquote, saved countless lives and protected Americans and all people from health threats, which, it can be argued, after the pandemic and everything else and the real controversy that surrounds these things. You bring in people like Bill Gates, you bring in Planned Parenthood, you bring in what happened with the jab, as they call it, and the seemingly pressurized initiative to have everybody participate. A lot of conspiracy theories are wondering just who's behind it, what is the catalyst behind it, and what is the desired end result. The WHO goes on to tweet that with the participation of the United States and the WHO and other member states, the WHO, over the past 7 years, implemented the largest set of reforms in its history to transform our accountability, cost effectiveness, and impact in countries. And the work continues. I think this is what's the point that can be argued the most when you're, on opposite sides of the debate. The WHO says that we hope the United States will reconsider and look forward to engaging in constructive dialogue to maintain the partnership between the USA and WHO for the benefit and the health and well-being of millions of people across the globe. So I think wherever you stand on this is, do you prioritize domestic health and fund disbursement to handle our business at home, or do you continue to pile in a lot of resources and funds to help people globally? And I think that's where a lot of the flack that Biden caught from. It's like the old religious or the old gospel song, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. I think that's just, one of the biggest critiques that the previous administration had. You're funding all these things worldwide and there's crises and just a bunch of nonsense going on here domestically. So it's up for you as the listener or the viewer. It's up for you to decide, what's more important, where the charity really lies. Say charity begins at home, so it's just always going to be talking points and controversies. There's no real answer, in my opinion, that can be clear cut and dry. So now enter Kanye West. Kanye West in recent years shocked the world with comments professing admiration for Hitler. I think we all heard it. Statements that have obviously been widely condemned. But why would someone as influential as Kanye West make such claims? A lot of the times, I think that he has maybe good intentions and just a horrible way of dispersing that through his speech. Probably needs an editor, for everything that he says and everywhere that he goes, honestly. It is possible Kanye is fixated on the idea of redemption and power. The concept that even the most vilified figures in history achieve significant feats. But in doing so, he's ignoring the broader context and the immense harm caused. This raises a critical question. How do we balance acknowledging historical achievements with condemning the moral failings tied to them? There's good and bad in everything. Nobody's perfect. There are outward agendas and hidden agendas. And I think, someone at my pay grade will not know the inner workings of these things. And, he really didn't describe in detail what he meant by those statements, which really left himself to hang and dry on that statement. So more recently, as of yesterday, Elon Musk and his questionable hand gestures has everybody really up in arms because it's seemingly signaling that our society is headed into, conceptually at least, into a similarity of that Nazi idealism in a way. Elon Musk is one of the most polarizing figures today, and he sparked controversy with what some interpreted as hand gestures linked to the Nazi regime. While the gestures might be coincidental or taken out of context, they highlight the heightened sensitivity to symbolism and power dynamics in our society. We don't think the question is whether Musk intended to reference Nazi imagery, but rather why such accusations arise so readily. In a world dominated by billionaires and tech moguls, the question is, are we witnessing the rise of a new oligarchy? And that's up for you to decide through your own power of interpretation and discernment. So the threat of American oligarchy. America was founded on principles of democracy and equality, yet today wealth and power are increasingly concentrated in the hands of a few. Some argue we're teetering on the edge of oligarchy and a system where the wealthy elite control the political and economic levers of society. I don't think that's a question that's new or some murky type of conversation that needs to be had. I think it's very clear that the power and wealth are in the hands of a few and has been that way for longer than I've been alive. I think it's just heightened and magnified by all the outlets that we have to view such things. If history teaches us anything, it's that unchecked power often leads to corruption. That is as close to a fact as I can see. Whether it's the fascist regimes of the past or the corporate empires of today, pattern is eerily similar. So if we're questioning history and the future, history isn't just about the past. It's a lens through which we understand the present and predict the future. As we navigate the next 4 years, the common man, we must remain vigilant. Will America double down on division and oligarchy, or will we reclaim the ideas of equality and democracy? Have we ever stepped away from those ideals? Are they minimized, or are they just hidden amongst the complex financial and socioeconomic issues that we face? Something that I really can't answer. I think perspective comes from your position in this world. So if you're asking somebody that is not wealthy, then I think it's an easy answer. But, I'm not here to decide. I am here to have the conversation with you, though. The answers aren't easy, but they start with asking the right questions. What's the real story behind the leaders we follow? Are we learning from history, or are we doomed to repeat it? Is it their intention to repeat it? Let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, stay informed, stay critical, stay engaged. And once again, if you need any information on the Houston housing market, I'm here for you. It's your brother in business, King Rob. We are on the precipice, not even the precipice. We are in the roller coaster has started. We hear the click, clap as it ascends to the apex. And what happens after that? We need to be here together as a people to be strong. We must remember what is important, and that's love, honestly, love, peace, prosperity, but not at the hands of anybody else's demise. Once again, your brother in business, King Rob. This is the Mac Global Channel, Music, Arts, Culture, and Commerce, Together we can uncover the stories that shape our world. Until next time, peace.